What did they say to you when you met them?
Well, in the case of Prof, prior to commission of Asumdue Park last year, the number of times I dreamt about him pleading with me to sort out that place, that if nobody would do it, he knew I would do it. So 24th July last year, President Akufo-Addo commissions the place. 29th, it was a Sunday, 24th was a Sunday, 29th Friday. In my dream like that, I saw President Mills come, dressed all up like a president, and he came to thank me. And thanked me profusely and said, look, wherever he is, wherever they are, I shouldn't worry, I shouldn't fear anything. And that they have their eyes on me. Of course, in the case of Rawlings, that one too was a different scenario. That one too, he came, shook my hands, and when he was leaving, I was asking him to sit, and he said no. He did not come to sit. He just came for that short purpose, and so he's gone. So Kafui, we are soldiering on. It's 11 years, we've stopped crying, we can't continue to cry. So with the Tables Institute and with the help of Good Samaritans, we are trying to keep their memory and the legacy alive. I believe that the Rawlings family is also trying to keep his own alive. And that's when people ask me, or people want to pass snide remarks and snide comments, and they are saying that why are you in love with the memory of President Mills even more than his family?
Does that hurt you?
It doesn't hurt me. I think the people who make those comments make it out of strong points of not knowing what they are talking about.
What has really hurt you about the things people have said or you've heard?
What hurt me last year. I could tolerate everything, but last year when one of his brothers, Sami Atta, the one who's MP for KEA, allowed himself to be used, and to the extent that he held a press conference and said, I had gone to dig up his brother's remains at Asumdue Park. It really hurt me. I thought that was really, really, really below the belt. Knowing the relationship I had with his brother, what will make me go and dig up his brother's remains? At that point, construction was taking place, Kafui. And the wooden, and I repeat, wooden, and I repeat, wooden, the wooden surface on the tombstone that had been there for 10 years, disgracefully so. At certain points, we had to use cement blocks to chalk sides of it. An embarrassment to this nation. That was what was being removed by the contractors to put the ceramic covering that we have today, that has given it a much more decent ambience. That was it all. Then this is brother, you are able to hold a press conference because you are allowing some politicians to use you and to say, I went to dig up your brother's remains. For me, it really hurt me. And you know why? It hurts me also because you, this brother, and this is from your own mouth, that maybe a couple of weeks before Prof passed, the president passed, he called you his brother. His PhD thesis that he wrote at the age of 27 at the School of Oriental and African Studies. And it was a joint PhD because he was also a Fulbright scholar jointly at Stanford in the US. Kafui, of course, Prof told me about that PhD, but his brother told me himself that maybe a couple of weeks before he passed, that when Prof returned in 1972, those days, technology is not like today where you can just go PDF and find everything. He came with one copy of his thesis. And a friend of his came to borrow the thing. 72 Kafui. It was in 2012. Few weeks before the man who passed, that this friend supposedly returned the thing.
After 40 years?
Thank you. Just do the mathematics.
40 years.
40 years. And that prof handed over the thing to him, Sammy, that my brother, all my taxation policies, all the things I have taught students in the area of the law of taxation, School of Administration, law faculty, law school, the Ghana Association of what? Taxation, whatever. As between the ages of 24, 25, 26, 27, these are the things that I was thinking about. Publish it into a book for me. Let the whole world know what I wrote decades ago. Kafui, you have still not published that book. And you think that you love your brother more than those of us who want to keep his memory alive? Yearly, you never show up at Asumdwe Park.
Is it that the family didn't want him to be buried there?
That is neither here nor there. The man died as a president. He died as a president. The state took a decision. And I don't know of any family that said no, for which reason everybody participated. And the real Ekumfi family is there. Kafui, last year, in the midst of the brouhaha, when I was being accused by the brothers, Sammy and Sammy in particular. Cadman, I won't say much about him. But Sammy Atamils in particular, who said I had dug up the brother's grave with no evidence. And the whole year, I've been going to Asumdwe Park. Since last year, he has not showed up at Asumdwe Park. But I'm sure tomorrow he will join some group of politicians and go there and pretend. But all I'm saying is that as we remember Christ, for me as a believer, where are his blood siblings in the scheme of remembrance? Peter was the rock on which the church was built. Peter was not the blood brother. And I consider myself the Peter of Atta Mills, the rock on which his legacy will be built. So those things, all the call, all the name calling, the insults, it doesn't worry me. But what Samuel did last year, may God forgive him his sins. Yeah, that I have gone to dig up when all I was doing in Kafui was to get the place to look much better. At least this year is much better. And for very good reason, I've decided that this year, as an institute, at Amos Institute, we have stepped down everything. We are not going to do anything. We have nothing to prove. Let others fill the space and do whatever they want to. Because all they do is to wait for me when I'm doing something. Then they plug into it and they draw current from it. And then my name is all over the place. And as if I'm the bad person. So this year, I'm not doing anything. Maybe in the next 2-3 years, I won't do anything. The important things that Asumdwe Park has been built is better than it used to be. That alone gives me satisfaction. The rest, others can fill the space. Of course, the Presidential Memorial Library in Cape Coast, as we speak, government has taken possession of that one too. And Kafui, that one is even much more of an embarrassment than Asumdwe Park. As for Asumdwe Park, it was not built, is that not it? So, fine, until we begged and it's been done. With the Cape Coast Memorial Library, Kafui, that one. So President Mills dies. Based on his death, and in the name of the state, a funeral planning committee is set up. And Koku Anyidoho, I'm a member of the funeral planning committee, chaired by Mr. Kofi Totobi-Kwachi, made up of other members. In the name of the death, in the name of the state, in the name of the committee, we say we are going to build a presidential memorial library at Cape Coast. Laudable idea, why not? And so we go funds soliciting. And we are told specifically by the chairman that the telcos have agreed to fund the laudable project. Wonderful, why not? So we get the president of the day to go and cut the sword. This must have been in 2013. By 2016, we get the same president to go and commission the project, believing that, hey,
It's done.
Aiko. Now, in in my desire to want to leave that good legacy, I suggested as a member of the committee that let's have a plaque, as we have on most buildings. Have a plaque with the names of the committee members, so that 100 years down the line, challenge me to my grandchildren will come and see that a certain Anyidoho did something for this country.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody bought into it. So if you go to the Cape Coast Library now, there's a plaque sitting there with our names. Of course, the chairman's name is number 1. I think my name is 13 or 14, but my name is there. Kafui, so we finished the work. Now the contractor says he hasn't been paid. And this is 2016. I think 25th July of 2016, the commissioning took place. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 7 years. It is now that government has decided finally that no, that edifice will not be allowed to rot away just like that.
So there were no books inside the library?
Nothing, Kafui. Nothing. And you're talking about 100-seater capacity audiovisual center. Another one. Look, this is not a community library. This is a 3-story thing with a rooftop cafe, offices, outside space. Look, a research library. A research library. And we just have allowed it 7 years to rot away because the contractor says we are indebted to him. And consistently, I have said, Mr. Kofi Totobikwachi, you are alive and you are in this country. How come you are not talking? At a certain point in time, there were attempts to gag me. And I said, me? Gag me in this country? Who? Nobody will gag me. And in this 7th year, that the state has now taken over and going to use state resources to, as it were, make good whatever indebtedness there is to the contractor. What happened to the initial funds that got raised in the name of the state and in the name of the committee?
Do you not think that the state should have actually taken this project up from the beginning? This is a president
exactly.
who died.
Yeah, but you see, as President Mills told me when he became president, I remember in the first week when he became president, he was operating from the Accra International Conference Center, and a few things didn't go on well there. Subsequently, in conversation, he said, Koku, look, I have never been president before. I was vice president, but this is the first time I'm being president.
You're learning.
So he's learning. So I don't want to blame President Mahama for that. Especially when you have senior party members who are on the committee and you want to believe in their wisdom and their counsel. Is that not it? That, oh, Mr. President, this one, don't let us not burden the state. The man who is gone has enough goodwill. And so we can get corporate entities through CSR or other accounting entries to make some monies available for us to do this project. It happens. So you cannot blame the president. I agree with you, with the benefit of hindsight. The state, but then again, is it not the same state that did not build Asumdwe Park? So let's put the state aside. There was something wrong somewhere. Whether it is the state at the time or the people in charge of the state, whatever, but something just didn't happen right. And Kafui, I will tell you on this interview that has been one of my challenges. To the extent, because when people say, oh, I am anti-JM, how am I anti-JM? Like I've told you, President Mills never allowed me to disrespect him as vice president. We never had any altercation. Nothing. I was doing my work. When the president died, there were attempts to get rid of me immediately after the death of the president.
When you say get rid of you, how do you mean?
Good. So President Mills passed on the
24th
24th.
of July. Tomorrow will be exactly 11 years.
On the 26th of July, about 6:30 a.m., I get a call from Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa. Not that we were real, of course, we are not contemporaries. We are much ahead of him anyway. And so, even in government, they are doing their thing at the ministry, because he was at the information ministry. I'm at the presidency. So, we are not fighting neither. Or either. So, so they're working lines. So he calls and he wants, he's checking on me. He wants to see how I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm fine. Okay. Okay, he goes off the line. I thought that, well, there was something quite queasy about the call. A few minutes later, Omani Bwama calls. And in those days, Omani Bwama and Akujeto were two sides of the same coin. And Omani Bwama is more frontal. That, well, Sami called you, but he couldn't pass on the information. I'm passing on the information. And that yesterday, which means that 25th, that they had a meeting with the new president and the big men. So he mentioned Dr. Bikwachi, the Ahoys, and some other people. And that the president has taken a decision that he cannot work with me. And the operational phrase was that for obvious reasons. And so I should get ready to pack out of the castle.
This is 2 days after President Mills had died.
2 days after President Mills had died. Wow. And that by close of day, I'll get a call from the names he had mentioned.
When Professor Mills died, what did you think your standing was going to be within the government?
Actually, Kafui, because I was not born an idiot, and I thank God that I was not born an idiot. I always knew that the day Professor Mills is no more, I'll be punished for my loyalty to him. So a lot of times in my conversations with him, President, we were always thinking about I was thinking about the exit plan. And my exit plan was that, say, after your 8 years, when you are going, I'll go with you. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, I'll go with you. Why? I said, sir, because if I stay around, I'll be punished for my loyalty to you. I know, it's difficult to find loyalty. And people who are loyalty definitely suffer for their loyalty. Christ himself, he was crucified because of his loyalty to the kingdom of his Father God. The early apostles and disciples, because of their loyalty to Christ and the gospel, they were whipped. Look at the first martyr in the Bible, Stephen. He was stoned to death. Paul, Peter, name it, Timothy, they suffered. In today's terms, people are still suffering because of their loyalty to systems. Now, Kafui, that is why disloyalty is also not good. Because then again, the same Christian balance, it is Lucifer's or Satan's disloyalty to God that threw him out of the heavens. Come to the earth realm. The greatest crime you can commit against your state is what? Treason. What is treason? Disloyalty. Betrayal of your state. So for me, there was no way I was going to betray the president. But I knew that it came with a high price. So me, psychologically, I knew that the man would do 8 years. And I'll exit with him after 8 years.
What was your exit plan for
the exit plan was that we'll set up a foundation. Or like the institute that I've set up. Now this was a brilliant academic. Me too, at certain points in time, I was, for want of a better word,
you know book too small. You know book too small. You did right too.
So I was, my master plan was that because the man wanted to go back into academia. So he will be leaving office at age, he died at 68, so 72. Very much in his prime.
Yeah.
You understand?
The academics,
yes.
Can go to 80, 90.
Good. So if God had given him life, so he's lecturing here, he's lecturing there. Me too, I'm holding his bag and you understand?
Executive assistant.
Executive assistant.
From a banker to a president.
And because I have done, because I was a speech writer, you just name it. State of the Nation address.
You wrote all those things.
ECOWAS AU, UN, Commonwealth. I wrote all his speeches. Independence Day, Republic Day, Farmers Day, even religious speeches I wrote. So if graciously the man allows me to craft words for him to speak, why can't I work with him after office? And by that time, President Kufo had set up his foundation and was working with Frank Ejikum.
So that was a model.
There was a model. So that was my model that, sir, when you are leaving, you go. And the state will take care of you anyway. And a few of your aides, I know that I'll be in there somewhere. Then me too, I can be moving along, writing a few papers here and there. Who knows? One day I also get a PhD. You know, but Kafui, every time I said that, he will smile. He will go into a deep smile, then he will come out of it. Then the question was always the same question. Why do you want to tie your political career to mine? Then it will end there. Then we'll move on to something. Anytime I went on this trajectory, that will be his final. Koku, why do you want to tie your political career to mine? Then it will end there.
Let me ask the same question. Why did you want to tie your political career to Prof's career?
Little did I know that he will pass. So for him to have called me into this huge frontline political, job, and knowing the terrain and how I was going to be punished if I remained around, why not go with him and work for him? Of course, prior to this, even President Kufuor's one, we had visited the Carter Foundation in Atlanta, and I had seen certain things around. So I was working already around that. Charlie, why not set up the Atta Mills Foundation, Atta Mills? So what I'm doing now, Kafui, is not because I have nothing to do. It was something that I had been planning to do a long time ago. Even though the man is alive, I still think that I ought to do it. And I'm happy in my own small way, with the help of my team, that at least we've been able to do some advocacy up until this point. And so if people have now joined, why not?
Do you think, in your quiet moments, do you think Professor Mills knew he wouldn't do 2 terms?
Well, after he passed, so 21st July
was his birthday.
So I was with him. Very early in the morning, I went to see him to wish him happy birthday. And then we had some prayer session, sharing thoughts about the day. And that day, Fritz Bafu was going to launch his campaign, I think so, in Ablekuma West. There was a few campaigns that were, so we're having and I was telling him what I would do during the day. And he was telling me how he had some family wedding to attend. He will attend, he will go home, and so he'll come back the next day. He wasn't feeling too well, but it will be okay. I shouldn't worry. We will win the elections. We'll win the elections. Koku, don't worry, we'll win. Koku, don't worry, we'll win. Koku, don't worry, we'll win. But it was after he passed, Kafui. It was after he passed that when I played back so many things, I knew that he was telling me that he was going, but he couldn't tell me in black and white. Maybe because I would have taken the lead. You understand? Yeah. But after he passed and speaking to other people close to him, he dropped hints along the line. In my case, I think there was a point where some people wanted me to go and stand for MP in Ho Central. And they came to see him to make the point. The pitch, exactly. He just called me and told me that, Koku, don't go anywhere. Stay here. Don't let anybody... Yes, people want to become MPs. Let them go and become MPs. But it is not for you to become an MP. Just stay here and let's work. I need you around me. Don't go anywhere. Stay here. Let's work. And Kafui, I don't regret that he gave me that advice. Because he said, Koku, if you go, the constituency is not in Accra. It's in the Volta region. You have to be going in and out. And once you leave here, Nature hates vacuum. So once you leave, somebody will occupy the space. Now, when you are coming to look for me, you have to queue. Just stay here, let's work. I mean, Kafui, that was so. As for the exit plan, I had prepared. So when he passed, and I got this call from these two younger colleagues. Subsequently, I went to see an elderly person who I thought would give me comfort. But the person actually repeated what these young men were about. Then there was a third elderly person who also, so 3 in a row was like, man,
The writing is on the wall.
the writing is on the wall. So fast forward, once we win the elections, 2012, and I had to start looking for options.
But you did the campaign from the time
Oh yes!
Prof died to
In fact,
the election.
the third person who called me and said that I should go, in fact, the third person who called me actually said I should go on leave. So after these 2 young men, I went to see an elderly person. He repeated what the young boys repeated. Then there was a third person. I don't know. I don't want to disturb his equilibrium, so I won't mention his name now. Yeah, because if I mention his name, I know I will disturb. He's not feeling too well these days, and so, and he's not an enemy. So why should I mention his name? But he called me and said that I should go on leave, and that there's so much pressure on him to get me to go on leave, and that the president doesn't want to work with me, so I should go on leave. And when I come back, they would have decided on my political future. That's what really pissed me off. Me, I'm deciding on my political future already. You want to decide on my political future. And so I told him point blank that I'm not going anywhere. That you can go and tell the president that I am not going anywhere. I'm not going to go anywhere. I won't go on any leave. I will stay because we must win the elections so we can protect President Mills's legacy. But I added, is it a caveat or a proviso, whatever you call it? And I said, look, but anyway, you're not the first person telling me this. I've heard it twice already. This third one is just the icing on the cake. So I believe it strongly that there's a strong desire to get rid of me from the presidency. But why are you people behaving like, and I was bold enough at that time. I think I was irritated to the point where I was bold enough to say, why are you people behaving like illiterates? Why? Or you think I am the illiterate? I'm not an illiterate. If I was a stark illiterate, President Mills would not have gotten me to work for him in the capacity I worked. So you are an administrator, a senior administrator. You are a lawyer. Why don't you just go and do your things properly and write to me officially? You understand? I was appointed on a green letterhead, and the green letterhead is what you use at the presidency. So if I was appointed on a green letterhead and you don't want me again, no problem. Just go back and write to me on a green letterhead. Then I'll pack out.
Did that green letter ever come?
Let me finish the story. Then I added again that I need that green letter so that when I'm walking out of the presidency finally, after I have packed out, I will organize the press to wait for me at that runabout. You know the runabout just before you hit the main castle gate. So this was my message to him. I said, go and tell the president that if he wants me out of the presidency, I don't really have a problem. But do it the proper way. Because you people want me to go on leave. Then when I'm gone, you get the media to program that because I don't like President Mahama, and so I've deserted post. That was going to be the story. Kafui, some of these people think I'm stupid, but I'm not stupid. And these are things that I had discussed with President Mills long ago. But because I'm not a blabbermouth, I don't share this information with people. It's just between me and the president. He had forewarned me about so many things. In fact, there was one phrase that he kept using. Koku, know them, but don't let them know that you know them. Every time he gave me deep advice and mentioned those actors who really wanted my skull, he would say, Koku, know them, but don't let them know that you know them. So Kafui, I knew them. And still I know them. That's why up to today they cannot believe that every time I'm ahead of the game. So I said, you want me to go on leave? Then you program in the media that Koku Anyidoho dislikes John Mahama so much that when Atta Mills died, he deserted post. I won't do that and give you that joy. So I won't go on any leave. But if you really want me out of the presidency, I'm a very regimented person. Give me a letter. Then when I step out of the castle, I'll program media houses there and I'll show them the letter. So that for the records, I didn't desert post. It is the new president who says he cannot work with me, so I'm out of the presidency. And then see whether the government will last for a day. Because Ghanaians will come after you. I was telling the man, say Ghanaians will come after you. This government will not last for a day. Atta Mills is dead and you just want to sack me from the presidency. You try it and see what will happen to the government. I could see him panicking because he had never seen me like that before. And I was really angry at the time. And Kafui, this matter I'm saying, we had not yet buried President Mills. And I was a member of the funeral planning committee.
What was it like planning a funeral for President Mills?
Now,
What was it like?
This is
The journey.
the journey. So planning the
funeral.
The funeral. And so I was on the committee. And this was one of the things that I suggested we do. And the committee agreed. Now, this is the journey. I named it the journey. And basically, it's a picture book. In fact, I wrote this one. I wrote it, and it was even going to create some controversy. But
Lasting message.
yes,
I come to serve. I've finished my time here on earth, and I've moved on to everlasting rest and celestial duties with my heavenly Father. As you leaf through these pages of my life story, I pray to God that it touches you in many positive ways. Weep not, for I am not dead. I am alive and awake in the Lord. Ghana will not die. Ghana will live to declare the works of the Lord. As I rest in perfect peace in the celestial realms with my Maker, I pledge to always uphold and defend the good name of Ghana. Remember the Lord in all your ways, and He will protect you. Stay well, my brothers and sisters, for I will always be with you. John Evans, Atta Mills.
and then I put the signature there. Yes, of course, I knew he was gone. And I did this and I put, so initially there was going to be some controversy. Why did you use his signature?
That's his signature?
That's his signature, yeah.
Okay.
But of course, everybody knows that I never use his signature for anything bad. So I just did this because this is going to be an archival document. And I wanted he himself to speak to it. Of course. So then, it's his life's journey, and it comes in phases.
All his pictures.
Sportsman, as a youth, family. So I had to go to Cape Coast to go and see his elder sister.
So you went gathering all this?
I gathered all this
material.
I had to go gather. I had to go and meet some his classmates, his people. Now, every picture in this book, Kafui, I labeled. Every picture.
Yeah. So there are captions everywhere.
Captions everywhere. So this story was told by me as his communications person, his PR person. So where I needed information, I got information.
So this was like your last assignment for the prof?
Exactly. This was my last assignment, and this is what we used to bury him. You know?
How do you feel when you look through this book?
I mean, I am glad I had I'm glad that I had the opportunity to serve. And I'm glad that I was able to, work on a document like this, which it's become an archival document. Now, while working on this, Kafui, is when I'm being told to get out of the castle. You can imagine. The man is dead.